All right, so welcome to Let's Talk Cinema, episode 9, here for breaking down movie news and talking all about, the newest things in the movie entertainment kind of world there. So yeah, I'm joined with Greg, as always, again. Thanks for being here, Greg. So quite a few things to talk about, actually. Of course, the Super Bowl gave us some new trailers. I won't be talking about them all, but just to name a few, right? We had Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, couple teasers about that. We had Us trailer, Endgame, Toy Story 4, which we'll talk about, of course, and Captain Marvel as well. So there were some big ones. We'll be talking about Endgame and Toy Story 4 here. So that, and then, of course, we'll get to our film of the week. Greg got a chance to see Glass, actually, just tonight. So he probably won't be able to give kind of a full review, but maybe just kind of your initial thoughts, right? Something like that. So we'll discuss that one, and then, of course, end it off with our question of the week. So, back on a Tuesday here. I do apologize for that. It was a few difficulties last night, so we decided to move it to Tuesday. But hopefully we'll be, back to the Monday schedule. I feel like I said that last week, but anyways, regardless, we're back. So, as always, guys, let's start then with the box office report. So here are the top 6 performers from this weekend at the domestic box office. So, this weekend was a very slow weekend. Just looking at that chart right there with the weekend box office numbers, you could tell it was a pretty slow weekend. So, our top 6. Number 1 is Glass, still at number 1 this week, with 9.5 million there at the box office. Number 2, The Upside, still number 2, 8,677,000. Number 3, we have a newcomer, Miss Bala, which was 6,864,000. Number 4, Aquaman, falling to number 4 this week with 4.8 million. Number 5, Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, back there again with 4,548,000. And number 6 is Green Book. They stay in the mix here with 4.3 million in their second re-release week for this Oscars buzz season. So just looking at that, right, no movie broke 10 million this week, and you're talking about top 6 performers, and some of these have 4 million. I mean, that's pretty unheard of, right? For most typical weekends, especially compared to back when we started doing the show in December, even into January, and now we're in February. And typically, I think a lot of people tend to think that January is the slowest month, but it is what it is. So those are the numbers there, and like I said, couple interesting things here. So it was an incredibly soft start. Box Office Mojo, of course, with those numbers. Incredibly soft start to the February box office this week with the top 12 films, so the other 6 from that list, combined for only 55.4 million. Take that in, right? Because Glass made 47 million just 2 weekends ago alone. So to put that in perspective, it's pretty crazy. You'd have to go back to the first weekend in September of 2017 to find a worse performance from the top 12 films. So I don't know if there is an explanation for this per se, but what are your kind of thoughts on this? Anything in particular?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's not a ton of new releases, or at least, big name new release.
One of the only ones was Miss Bala,
with the exception of Glass a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's not a huge a big name.
Mm-hmm.
And it's February now. It's still kind of after the holidays, so people won't be spending as much money on movies. I think those are 2 pretty significant indicators of potentially why it's such a poor box office weekend, and really just why it's going to be, or why January and February tend to be really poor box office performing months.
Yeah, and I think that's also why Glass was a little bit of a surprise there too. I mean, technically not, right? Because people expected it to do well, but still, again, like I said, to put that in perspective, I mean, they made 47 million in their opening weekend, and that was pretty. I think we talked about that, right? They set some type of record for January debuts. So, yeah. Anyways, we've been kind of spoiled the last couple of months, so this is what it is. Also, Super Bowl. That may have changed these a little bit. Probably
Sure.
not many people went on a Sunday per se for that. Because if you think about, I mean, the Super Bowl started what, 6:30 Eastern time?
6:30, yeah, something like
Yeah,
that.
so I mean, if you're going West Coast, that's 3:30. That doesn't give it a lot of time to go see a movie on a Sunday. So, I mean, that could have been it. Is that the only factor? Probably not. But anyways, performance of Miss Abala then, to reference that, is on the soft side for the $15 million production. So $15 million production, and they only brought in, I believe it was 6.8 million. And the movie really did enter the weekend with mixed to negative reviews. They had a 41 on Metacritic and a 27% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't think this was a movie that was ever going to get above kind of a 40, to be honest, on Rotten Tomatoes from the trailers and the looks of it. A lot of people kind of excited for it. It looked kind of like a fun, action kind of movie with a great lead, by the way. But yeah, so I mean, not too surprising there for Miss Bala. But then we get to Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. They set a record this weekend, so they have now domestic cume that tops 175 million, and that makes it Sony Animation's highest-grossing domestic release of all time. And again, we've been talking about how they want to establish a TV universe, some spin-offs happening with that. We've talked about possible sequels. So I think that just adds to the conversation, right?
Yeah, and the fact that it outgrossed their live action Spider-Man movie just I guess 6 years ago or whatever that would have been their first live action. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah. That's a good point, yeah. I mean, it's just been really, so successful. Especially a lot of people kind of doubted it at first, but a lot of people ended up in their, top 5 films of the year. Not just comic books, but all films. So, yeah, I think highest grossing domestic release of all time for Sony Animation. Probably their biggest kind of established film yet. And so I think this is just the first of many to come for sure. And then I thought I'd throw this one in here. Rounding out the top 10 was Warner Brothers' release of Peter Jackson's World War I documentary, They Shall Not Grow Old. I heard a little bit about this. I've seen some of the kind of teaser behind the scenes looks at how they actually created this documentary movie, and it actually is really interesting. They kind of took real footage and then kind of digitalized it a little bit and kind of reworked it, and it actually looks really cool. But anyways, it scored a massive 8.3 million from just 3 event screenings prior to this weekend, where it released in 735 locations. And I was surprised, 735 locations, and we still got it at our theater here. So that was surprising to me. And then the film ended up delivering an estimated 2.4 million over the weekend here. So it's interesting though, right? Like those 3 screenings got 8.3 million, and then now in the weekend they get 2.4. Did you hear anything about this movie at all?
No, I really haven't. Yeah, I mean, I don't think documentaries usually get a lot of coverage. I haven't heard much about anything actually about this documentary.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear much about it either until I saw a couple of those teasers, a couple of those videos. And I mean, Peter Jackson, of course, that name is going to get attention, as Mortal Engines did. We saw how that turned out. But anyways, so yeah, just kind of a cool thing there, documentary. But yeah, so good for them, right? 10.7 million now they've made on this documentary that probably, I would say, cost a lot less than that to make. So, anyways, there you go. And then Box Office Mojo says next weekend should see much better results, with Warner Brothers debuting the Lego Movie 2 in over 4,100 locations. And then the R-rated comedy What Men Want is coming. Liam Neeson's Cold Pursuit is coming up, and The Prodigy, Orion Pictures' debut of The Prodigy, which is a horror film. So, kind of 4 big-time releases next weekend. So, definitely that should change the perspective here. And we're going to talk about some of those films a little bit later in the episode. So total gross so far, and then endings off is Glass is now at 88 million. The Upside 75 million. Miss Ball, of course, just opened, so 6.8 million. Aquaman is now at 323 million domestically, of course, but now they've passed 1.0. I think it's 1.10 billion now, so that's a big number. Spider-Man 175 million, and Green Book is at 55 million. Pretty interesting there that they still were in the top 6 this weekend with their kind of reestablishment, and we talked a little bit about that last week. So anyways, that's the slowest box office since September of 2017 for you guys there. Yeah, so hopefully we'll see different in the numbers there next weekend. So, all right, so with all that said, let's move on to our main news topics then from this week. And of course, we'll start off with a couple of these Super Bowl trailer teasers, whatever you like to call them. I've seen a lot of people just saying, teasers, well, they're not real trailers, right? But, a lot of people kind of using them interchangeably. But anyways, so the first thing we want to talk about here is the trailer released for Toy Story 4. So, of course, we've had 2 teaser trailers so far released for Toy Story 4. I think they were both in November time. One of them was Key and Peele's new characters little thing there. And I don't remember what the other one was.
I think it was something. It was with something to do with the 4 character.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And there was a song or something like that.
Yep.
And it was
that sounds.
It was
familiar.
kind of like a little just animated, and that was even like less than the Key and Peele thing.
Okay.
Because I mean that was there. I don't think there was much, but it was just kind of a quick animated thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we got 2 trailers or 2 teasers so far, and then of course Super Bowl, everyone was excited, and some people were disappointed with this teaser. So first off, what were your thoughts of the teaser, and then we'll tackle that kind of question about disappointment. So what were your thoughts on the teaser?
Oh, sorry, I did not hear that.
No problem.
Sorry, what?
The Toy Story 4 teaser.
Sorry, no, I had to talk to my family member for a second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, it was. I'm not talking to you. Sorry.
All right, I'll just get my thoughts first, and then I'll come.
Sorry
back.
about that.
Oh, you good now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about
that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it was a quick little thing. It was. It wasn't much. I think there was an article released talking about what the sort of what the movie is going to be about, though, and I think we kind of got a taste of that, from the teaser, but I think getting that context from that article made a little bit more sense, because it was just kind of a little thing. It didn't really, you saw that it was at an amusement park, but or a carnival, I should say, but it wasn't like a clear picture. So what I heard or what I saw in an article was something to the effect of, Buzz is obviously going to be lost or something like that at this carnival, and then the gang kind of has to come together and then save him. But it's kind of all going to revolve around this carnival. That's at least what I saw in this article, and that's kind of what the teaser indicated largely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I got that too from the teaser. Although I'm not sure if it will be a main. Do you think it will be the main plot, or do you think that would just be kind of like what my thought was right after I saw a teaser was, I think that is like from the opening minutes of the film, because I think Buzz is lost at this carnival and they go and find him, and then the main plot starts. But that was just my thoughts of it. Again, I mean, it's tough to say because it's coming out June, right? We got a date for it too. We got an exact date. And June 17th is the date. And so, it's coming out in June. They're probably done the film, but they also don't want to give too much away of it, right? So, I mean, my thoughts was that the teaser was maybe just from the first few minutes even of the movie, but I could be wrong. We've seen, again, in those other two teasers, I don't think those were from the film, right? I think those were made solely as teasers and animated as such, right? But I think this one, obviously, I think this is footage from the film that we're going to see eventually. So,
yes.
But anyways, I mean, I thought it was funny, right? Key and Peele's characters in this one as well, who I feel are going to be kind of the staple of this film. I think we're still yet to hear John Wick, his voice as one of the characters, so that'll be interesting too. But yeah, so I just thought it was kind of a funny kind of, I liked it. I really did. I kind of thought it had a lot of charm. And like you said, did give away some of maybe the plot line, but maybe not too much at the same time. But a question here, a lot of people were talking about this. They thought this was disappointing. Were you disappointed by this trailer?
No. I mean, it wasn't... I don't know. I don't take, trailers too seriously and don't really put that much stock into them. And it was not the final trailer for the film or anything like that. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, yeah. I think
yeah.
Oh yeah, I just like I agree with you, right? It's like because a lot of people are calling it a trailer. I think it's kind of gotten overblown. But like I said, ultimately, I mean, it's used interchangeable, but it really shouldn't be, right? Because I think, again, this is a teaser. And I think people were kind of expecting a full-length trailer for the Super Bowl, which is crazy to even think about. Like, I've heard that it was $5 million for 30 seconds or something, right? Like, you think Pixar is going to pay... I don't know, 15 million then for a minute and a half trailer to air? I just think those expectations were a little too high for this situation, but yeah. So anyway, so you weren't all overall disappointed. What were you expecting from this exactly? From the Super Bowl trailer?
I don't know. Not really anything. I don't know. I didn't really have anticipation for it. Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably about as much as you can expect from it. Just a little snippet, gives you a little bit of a taste for what the movie's going to be like, but nothing too revealing or anything like that.
Yeah, and I mean, we've already kind of had a couple of reveals with Tom Hanks saying he had to look away, right, because it was such an emotional ending. When they were reading the script and stuff, so we know some details and some hints about maybe where they're going to go and how this one is going to end. But to be honest, I mean, it's anyone's best guess at the exact plot and the exact story of this one, except for, of course, the production company and those involved. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think it was a good teaser. But if you went into high expectations and you expected a full-length trailer, obviously you would be disappointed by this one. But I think we can both agree that we weren't expecting, a huge trailer, and thus we were kind of okay with this one, right? We were kind of satisfied. So, anyways, there you go. So the Toy Story 4 teaser, June 17th, I believe. I might be wrong there, but I believe it's the June 17th. Release date. It's gonna be awesome. You and I have talked about a little bit about how Toy Story 3 was such a good ending, right? And the fact that they're making a fourth means that it's got to be good, right? And that the ending has got to be good if you want to kind of come back to this series that many thought ended so well. And that's another thing too. So I think a lot of people are gonna have high expectations for this one, and let's hope it doesn't disappoint. So. There you go. All right, so Greg, next one is the Avengers Endgame trailer that aired during the Super Bowl as well. Like I said before, a lot of other ones released too, but we're only going to be talking about these two for time reasons. But anyways, so new Avengers Endgame, again, it was about a 40-second clip or a 35-second teaser again. I don't really know anything about what's going on in it, so I'm going to turn this over to you. What were your thoughts of it, and were you happy with the teaser that we got?
Yeah, I mean it's similar to the last one where it looks like there's probably the footage used in the teaser in the film, or at least not kind of an integral part of the film. I hope they kind of continue on this path of not showing anything or not showing much, but it gives you just it kind of it's continued in the or sorry, it's continued in the what the last teaser did with in terms of tone and kind of this the hype is building towards this final film um, that has been 10-ish years in the making, building all the whole universe. And so I think it was good. It was another very similar teaser, but at the same time I'd rather them show not enough than too much. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I don't. Of course, Captain America is coming, or Captain America, Captain Marvel is coming soon as well. And there was another teaser release for that, and that's also going into this discussion too about Avengers Endgame. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really realize this either from the outside looking in. But a lot of people are talking about how this probably, it might be the last Avengers movie that we get, right? Which I didn't quite put together.
yeah, for at least 5 years or something, like,
Yeah, for at least,
or
yeah.
for a little bit.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point. Was it a couple episodes ago where you said that the cast members' contracts were up, and that I think it was what you said, Chris Hemsworth, um,
Robert Downey
Robert Downey,
Jr.,
yeah,
Chris Evans.
yeah, a couple of the cast members are their contracts are up. They've been in 3 films now, and they might leave, right? And so, even if we get another Avengers, let's say 5 years down the road, it's going to be drastically different, right?
Right.
So, it's going to be interesting, and like I said, so much anticipation for this movie. You think it hits 2 billion? You think so?
I don't know. I'm not really familiar with the numbers on the Avengers Infinity War, so I wouldn't be the person to say, but it's gonna make more than Infinity War for sure, I think.
Yeah. All right. I mean, a lot of people are predicting this one, hitting 2 billion. We'll have to see. But, anyways, a lot of anticipation, like I said, into this one, and a good Super Bowl teaser. I think you brought up, a good point there. They didn't show a lot of new stuff either. I think they really just took advantage of this time slot and just kind of put everything they wanted to that for they wanted people to see into this trailer and then just stop, right? They didn't go overboard, which I think a lot of fans can appreciate. Maybe they'll be a little mad, but they'll probably appreciate in the long run once they see the film in the end. So yeah, and have we gotten 2 trailers so far for Endgame, or just 1 so far?
2 trailer-ish. I think the first one they're both kind of teasers. I mean, they're not.
Oh, okay.
I think there'll be at least one more real, bigger trailer released. But yeah, this would have been the second one.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll have to see. Obviously, we're waiting for that. Then, like you said, that at least one more, and maybe probably maybe another teaser sometime in there too. That once we get closer. So, anyways, those are the 2 trailers that dropped at Super Bowl. Like I said, Scary Stories Tell in the Dark. I'll quickly mention that they released like several spots. So instead of doing like an Avengers Endgame and taking 30-second segment, they essentially took 3 10-second segments, which was, I thought, an interesting approach to the marketing of the film. I'm not even sure if they were clips from the film itself. I really you really can't tell. It's literally 10 seconds. So, but they look kind of horrifying. So I mean, they're definitely capturing the tone that they want. Of course, Guillermo del Toro behind that one, and that's coming in the summer too, I believe. So, so for that one, and Us dropped another teaser trailer in there as well, and like I said, Captain Marvel. So, anyways, yeah, those are the Super Bowl trailers that were released there on Sunday. So, all right, now let's move on then to the next topic, which is Zac Efron's Ted Bundy movie is acquired by Netflix, or is going to be acquired by Netflix. So, We talked about the trailer like just last week. It just got
Yeah.
released. You and I both kind of high on this film, right? Looking forward to it. Looking forward to see Zac Efron playing the part of Ted Bundy. And so this is, I mean, it's I don't know. I don't know whether it's bad news or good news quite yet, but I guess we'll discuss. So the article here from Collider: Netflix to acquire Zac Efron Ted Bundy movie, extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile. They say one of the hottest sales titles was surely Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile, which stars Zac Efron as Ted Bundy. The film premiered to fairly positive reviews, although some critics, these are at the film festivals, although some critics had their reservations about the value of such a story being told. And now the Hollywood Reporter reports that Netflix is in talks to acquire the U.S. rights and some international rights to distribute the film for an impressive $9 million, beating out competitors like Lionsgate and STX Films. While that number is less than what Amazon paid for Crowd Pleasers, Late Night, and Brittany Runs a Marathon at Sundance, it's still a fairly high figure as far as Sundance acquisitions go. And Netflix is a sensible fit for Extremely Wicked, which hails from director Joe Berlinger, who also just helmed the Netflix Ted Bundy documentary, The Ted Bundy Tapes, right? So once you get that knowledge, right, it's the same director, you kind of get what Netflix is going for here. But what are your initial reaction on Netflix acquiring this film? And do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. I think we'll see. I mean, a lot of their movies recently, like Bird Box, you know, was extremely popular. I'm not exactly sure how that relates to them financially, but it was certainly very popular. So I think
And Roma.
this is and Roma, yeah. But I mean that had some a limited theatrical run, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think I don't think it's really too surprising. I mean they've had some good success with the documentary or the docu series as you mentioned, the Ted Bundy one. So this is same director that you said,
Yeah, Joe Berlinger, yep.
same director. It's not. I don't think it's too surprising. Um, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't something I was anticipating, but hearing about it doesn't shock me too much.
Yeah, I just think it's hard to judge now, right? I mean, we haven't seen the film. I mean, very few have seen the film. Um, so yeah, we'll have to see how it looks. But I guess it's also interesting though that 9 million beat out the other competitors. So that means that STX, Lionsgate, and of course, I mean Universal, Warner. But you want to talk about the big studios? That means they didn't want to take a chance on this movie. And albeit, I mean, it's a pretty small movie. I mean, it's not a huge action blockbuster like an Avengers Endgame, of course. It's a drama, and it's not going to gross a terrible amount, terribly significant amount of money at the box office. But I think that still may speak to how the film actually is. And it sounds like the critics were more critical of the film's kind of topic rather than the actual film itself, which is going to be interesting too. And maybe that attributes why these bigger studios didn't want to take a chance at it. But, I think it's the best decision for them. I mean, if Netflix is going to offer the highest bid, why not, right? And again, with like you said, and like the article says, the same director as this docu-series. I mean, docu-series, true crime, these true crime documentaries on Netflix have been doing insanely well. It's actually crazy. They can't pump them out fast enough. But anyways, so I think given that and that whole background, I think it's a great move for the film itself. And it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and I think also this could have had something to do with it. The fact that it was publicly not too well received, the trailer. Not necessarily on its merit, but more just on, should they be, the way the trailer was put together around the serial killer. So maybe some studios felt a little bit, maybe got cold feet or something, and kind of didn't want to invest money into something that was going to be really controversial.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that may actually be the overarching reason for this. And Netflix is no stranger to the controversial series. I mean, 13 Reasons Why. I just mentioned all these docu-series. You know, obviously, with all these kind of true crime documentary series, there's always going to be, you know, the facts, right? The facts have been either exaggerated or kind of tampered with a little bit in some of these, you know, documentary series. So I think Netflix is no stranger to controversy. And like I said, and Bird Box, I mean, there's a little bit of controversy around that with the Bird Box challenge or whatever that sparked out of that.
Right.
Netflix did not seem to care too much about that. So, I mean, I think that's a good point, and maybe that is kind of the overarching theme of this one. Maybe the big studios just didn't quite want to take a chance. They were a little apprehensive on it, and Netflix decides to gobble it up for $9 million. So, yeah, I mean, and maybe this is a thing, you know, that's going to spark some other stuff. Joe Berlinger and Netflix partnership as well. That's something to keep an eye out for if he'll, you know, kind of produce more of these true crime series for them. We'll have to see. So, anyways, it also means that you and I are going to get a chance to see it, right? We don't have to go to the theater, so we have no excuse now to talk about it on the show, of course. Speaking of Netflix, I wanted to check out Velvet Buzzsaw. Have you heard of that one with Jake Gyllenhaal?
It sounds familiar. But...
On Netflix, yeah, I think it just dropped Friday, and I do want to take a look at that. Maybe I'll try to talk about that next week. Maybe both of us can try to watch that. I've heard it's kind of a very weird, quirky movie, but you know, a lot of people are saying that it's pretty good. So, anyways, yeah, so we'll have to see Extremely Wicked, Shocking, Evil, and Vile. I don't think it has quite a release date yet, but it is coming out this year. So we're looking forward to that one. All right, so then on to, I believe it's our last topic. Yeah, I believe it's our last topic, which is Disney is reportedly working on 2 Zootopia sequels. This article is from FlickeringMyth.com, but a couple other sources did report on this one. Notably, not any of the big ones. So, you know, obviously, I think it's credible, but, you know, that is, you know, maybe something to take into account. But anyways, nothing is official, right? So Disney scored an enormous hit back in 2016 with Zootopia, with the animated buddy cop comedy grossing over $1 billion at the box office, as well as winning the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. Did you know that it grossed $1 billion?
No, I didn't.
I didn't know that either. I found that to be really surprising. But yeah, globally, 1 billion. That's crazy. So as you'd expect, given that kind of performance, there's been talk that directors Brian Howard and Rick Moore will be returning to do a sequel. But according to voice actor Tommy Lister, Disney is actually working on not one, but 2 new Zootopia movies. And then his quote was, "I can tell you for sure I'm doing another Zootopia with Disney." And he says, "We're doing 3 of them. We're the biggest film that Disney is producing. The last one was $240 million. It's good they made $1 billion, right? This one I'm hearing will be $300 million, the sequel to make. That's what they spent on the budget, not the advertising." So, I mean, with advertising, I think it's about half of the original production, or like almost equal to it. So we're talking about them spending maybe close to $500 million on this Zootopia sequel. That's a pretty big gamble in my eyes. But anyway, so you have seen Zootopia 1. What are your thoughts on these sequels and just crazy money figures thrown around here?
Yeah, I think I really like the first movie. Kind of surprised that we're just hearing about sequel stuff now, but you know, I think it was probably inevitable. Animated movie, made a ton of money, wildly popular. And yeah, I'll be excited to see what the creative team can bring in a sequel. And yeah, just a really enjoyable movie, kind of for all ages and kind of anyone. And really good vocal performances, animation's great. So yeah, I think the money is, I don't know what the budget of the first one is. It seems like a pretty high number for an animated movie, but
yeah. Well, he says $240 million, and that wasn't counting advertising. So I would guess probably $400 million, a little bit more than that maybe for the first one.
yeah.
So I mean that's That's pretty crazy. But 1 billion at the box office, so that's obviously a substantial amount. So, oh, sorry. It says it grossed 1.02 billion at the global box office, second only to Frozen in terms of Disney Animation Studio releases. That's crazy. That is crazy. So, yeah, I haven't seen the film, but I know it just from I've seen the trailers, of course, and a few of the clips and stuff from the movie, and it just looks like it has a lot of charm. Right, and I think, like you said, I think it's something that all audiences can enjoy as well, not just a children's animated movie. I think this is part of the trend that we're kind of breaking out from that. I don't know if you call it a stigma, but kind of that animated movies are for children, right? We see Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, of course, it's a comic book movie, so it's a little bit different. But then again, we get Zootopia, Incredibles 2. I mean, there were so many adults talking about that film that would have went, without kids or anything. So I think that whole thing is kind of being busted right now, the whole children animated thing. And again, I'm not saying that that's like a whole new thing that just happened in the last couple of years, but Zootopia and these other movies are really doing a good job at, obviously playing to that child audience, but then also being kind of, okay, or at least enjoyable for adults as well. And obviously it was, because it made 1 billion at the box office here, the first one. So, and best picture, best animated picture as well. So, anyway, Zootopia, 2 sequels coming. Obviously, basically no details about them at all. But yeah, like Greg said, I think a lot of people are going to be anticipated for this, or anticipated. Have some anticipation, sorry, for this, these sequels. But yeah, we'll have to see. And like you said, it is a bit surprising that we hadn't heard of a sequel before now. Right? I mean, we're like, 3 years removed from the first one? Almost. So, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe they have a little bit of a trouble getting these directors back to it. Maybe. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. So, anyway, Zootopia sequels, let us know what you think of those, and maybe what we can come to expect in those 2 movies. It should be really interesting to see the news coming up in the next few months about these 2 sequels coming. All right, so then let's move on now to our film of the week. This is the time where Greg and I, we try to watch one film at least a week, or at least like one of us try to watch one. Last week we had no films, but this week, Greg, you saved the day. You went and saw Glass today, a little bit earlier, and what were your thoughts of it? You said that you didn't want to give kind of like a full review. You hadn't quite digested it yet, but what you want to give us about Glass so far.
Yeah, I think it's for me, it's going to be a film that I, probably want to rewatch before I really develop a fully fleshed opinion. But in terms of kind of the very basic things, without giving any spoilers, I enjoyed the film. I think for the most part, I think it has. I think the biggest issue or my biggest issue with the movie is probably the second act, or the middle 45 minutes to an hour. I think it opens well. It opens fast paced. I'm interested. I like the way they open the film, and choices they make. I feel the film kind of drags throughout until we reach the final 20 to 30 minutes, which is really riveting, and you're on the edge of your seat, and it's kind of a roller coaster ride that just keeps going up. And then it finally kind of hits that point, the climax, but it's a crazy ride for the last 20, 30 minutes of the film. The performances are really good all around. It's obviously the last. This is obviously sort of the sequel to Unbreakable, Split, and kind of finishing off the quote-unquote trilogy. It's more Unbreakable and Glass, and then Split is kind of almost like a spin-off type movie, but it's involved in the universe, so we'll just call it part of the trilogy. So it's obviously the end of these characters for Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson, and obviously James McAvoy now. All 3 of these characters coming together is really cool to see on screen, and yeah, I think it's it's going to, I think, for die-hard fans of the franchise, you may not enjoy some of the choices this film takes and some of the twists that M. Night Shyamalan decides in this film. That's what I've heard, at least. It's a lot of people are mixed on it. For me, I did enjoy where the movie ended up, but I feel as though some of the choices, excuse me, some of the choices made throughout the film, throughout the middle portion, I wasn't on board with. But then where kind of the film was taken, I was 100% on board with and really enjoyed the finale of the film. And yeah, for me, this is a satisfying end to this franchise. Obviously, Unbreakable is I'm not sure if it's a cult movie, but it's wildly popular, and it is probably M. Night Shyamalan's that or Sixth Sense, one of his just biggest movies, biggest successes, and I think he does end it well. Critics obviously would beg to differ, but I believe
Yeah.
this is a good film, and I enjoyed it.
That's been one of the biggest criticisms of the film is the ending. So yeah, it's interesting that you enjoyed it. Question though, so you've seen Unbreakable. What, like, is it clear cut that Unbreakable is better than Glass, or is it close for you? How would you compare those two?
I think Unbreakable is a start to finish cleaner film with a more focused kind of narrative, and I just think it's a better film. But
Okay.
like with Glass, for me, I don't think that the middle portion, and I'm not exactly sure what time we're talking, but definitely the second act. I don't think the second act is overly good. I think it's kind of unfocused and um, loses its kind of direction, sort of, and makes some choices that I wasn't really on board with, and
Okay.
kind of, I don't want to spoil anything, but it kind of flip flops
Sure.
on a few decisions. But then it's definitely the way it ended. I like the beginning, but no, I think Unbreakable is the better film, start to finish.
Okay. Yep. And then one more question: James McAvoy for Oscar for Glass.
I don't know. I think the reality is, if he didn't get the nomination for Split, he's not going to get the nomination for
Good
Glass.
point. Good point.
Uh,
Good point.
because it's the same character. It's not his film. It's a more limited role, and you know, it, but it's too bad because obviously he is great, um, and continued to be very good with this character. But if he didn't get it for Split, there's very about 0% chance he'll get a nomination for Glass.
Yeah, and I mean, Glass is kind of a blockbuster type of movie. Those don't seem to do too well at the Oscars either. But, anyways, yeah, some people are talking about it. Obviously, a lot of people admire that performance in both Split and Glass now as well. So yeah, thanks for the review, Greg, on Glass. If you guys have seen it, obviously let us know what your thoughts are. Do you agree with Greg about the ending? I know that's like a very divisive thing right now. So yeah, let us know about that one. All right, so that just about wraps up then for this episode. But first, let's end it off with our question of the week, which we also posed to you guys, the audience. And this one's kind of a topical one because now we're first week of February. We got 4 weeks to go now with new releases coming out. So this question is, what upcoming February movie are you most looking forward to right at this moment? So what is your most anticipated February movie coming out?
Definitely would have to be Lego Movie for me. I think not a lot of great releases in February, but or sorry, Lego Movie 2, I should say.
Yeah.
Lego Movie 2 is um, Lego Movie is a movie I like quite a bit. Have not seen the other two Lego films, but obviously this is not um, it's not directly related to those. But yeah, I think the first one was really good, really original. It surprised the hell out of me. It was one of the more surprising movies I'd seen in the past few years. I've said this to other people. I put it on one I just on Netflix, and I kind of expected to turn it off 20 minutes in, and I don't usually do that, but I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like this. Like this, even the music behind it. It's like what is this?
I feel the
And it
exact
was
same way. Yeah.
hilarious. It was hilarious, and I don't know, how to explain it, but it was really good, and you know, it's the same creative team, I believe,
Yeah.
same voice actors. You know, I'm there for a sequel for sure.
Yeah, I still feel the same way about it. I know, I hear everyone say that it is surprisingly good. Yeah, I still feel the same way as you do. Anyways, for my most anticipated February film, obviously there's Lego Movie, there's How to Train Your Dragon 3, Alita Battle Angel, I think, is coming out, and a couple other ones, right? But for me, it's Cold Pursuit, which is one of the smaller ones on that list. But of course, Liam Neeson's new kind of action drama, movie that's coming out. And to me, the only reason that this is probably my most anticipated is, well, I haven't seen Lego Movie 1 and haven't seen How to Train Your Dragon 1 or 2, of course, but also is the trailer that came out for it. I really like the trailer. It doesn't take itself too seriously, which I think may be the best part of this whole thing. Also, right now, the Rotten Tomatoes score is at like a 90 or something for Cold Pursuit, which is unexpected for a Liam Neeson kind of action comedy drama. So, I don't know. It looks like it has a very serious tone, a serious like kind of topic that they're gonna be tackling. As I think his son was killed, and then he's kind of he's out for revenge, pretty much. But like I said, they're not taking themselves too seriously, or at least that's how it looks in the trailer so far. So, if you if you guys haven't checked out the trailer, I do suggest that. I really liked it, and it kind of sold me, to be honest, on this movie with Liam Neeson. Of course, can't go wrong with the Liam Neeson action movie. Of course, The Commuter from last year, or was it 2017? That got a lot of good buzz. Critics obviously weren't too high on it, but a lot of fans did enjoy that one. So, yeah, for me, it's Cold Pursuit. I'm looking forward to that one. That's coming out next week, along with Lego Movie too. So yeah, next week's gonna be pretty big, and yeah. So I'll have to see. Anyways, like you said though, February, not a whole lot of releases, here, not a whole lot of big ones, but I don't know. We'll have to see. I think maybe we're in for a couple of surprises, and might be in for a surprise to Lego Movie. We'll have to see how the box office does for that next weekend. But anyways, Greg, I think that's pretty much it. I think that's it for Let's Talk Cinema here this week. So, like we've been talking about, 4 big movies coming out next week. So, of course, we'll talk about that next week, hopefully for Monday. We'll be back Monday night for another episode of Let's Talk Cinema, our 10th episode already. Crazy to think about that it's already been like 9 weeks now since we started. Yeah, we made it further than the first incarnation of this series for sure. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this one. As always, really do appreciate it, and of course the last episode really did quite well. So do really like to thank you guys for checking that one out. And of course the other episodes too. So and of course there will be a playlist attached here where you can watch past episodes talking about the topical movie news for those weeks as well. Anyways, guys, again, thank you so much for watching this one. Greg, thanks for coming along once again, and we'll see you then next week on Monday. Take care, guys.
See you later.